DC Comics finally wrapped up Shadow War last week, so it's time for their next big event, and this one's going to last basically through the end of the year. Dark Crisis #1 has finally arrived. We already got the Death of the Justice League and Justice League 75. We've got Road to Dark Crisis last week. Not a very good comic book. Now, as far as Dark Crisis #1 from Joshua Williamson and Daniel Sampry, I would say this is much more along the lines of Justice League 75. It's a good comic. It's not bad, but it's not a great comic. It's not something that really piques your interest. There's some really big issues with tone in this one. I would recommend it, but very slightly. This is like maybe like a 3 out of 5 stars. Like, it's not a great comic book. It's serviceable, and it does do a few things very well. Specifically, I'll point out that it definitely sets the table for what they're going to be doing in the future up really well. You can see exactly how they're going to get to issue #2 and exactly how they're going to get into issue #3. But that's not the bulk of the story here. The bulk of the story is John Kent ascending into this new role as leader of a new Justice League. But let's get right into the comic book and start talking about the art from Daniel Sampry. This is easily, in my opinion, the standout feature of the comic book. When it needs to be heavy and really be emotionally impactful, it does the job, despite some of the tonal issues, which I think probably were more due to the script that was handed to Daniel Sampry from Joshua Williamson. Sampry specifically does a good job on these double-page spreads. You get a lot of these in here, and the splash pages, I think he definitely makes an impact with those. It's a very kinetic comic book. When there is action, things are going balls to the wall. There's good layouts in here. It's not a very lazy effort on the part of Daniel Sampry. I do think, because Joshua Williamson isn't the biggest writer in the world, they could have done him a solid and got him a bigger name artist, but Daniel Sampry is a very good artist, and I think people are going to notice that from this comic book. The art is not an issue here. The issue is urgency. Obviously, we open with the big heavy scene of everybody mourning the loss of the Justice League, but then we see that the world is in chaos. All of these villains have come out of nowhere, and they're attacking everybody. We can see the Green Lanterns are under attack. Dr. Light, we got Flash, we got the Frankensteins, we got John Kent, and everything is falling apart without the Justice League. And something feels off. The heroes can feel it. Specifically here, Wally West, the Flash, can feel it. These events aren't normal, and things are only going to get worse. Now, they set this up really well, but this tone doesn't go throughout the comic book. It doesn't feel like there's any urgency based on what the heroes are experiencing. They know the Justice League are dead. That's an important event. All the major, most powerful heroes in the DC Comics universe, for the most part, are gone. It's time for the next generation to step up and save the world, and it feels impactful. It feels important. But then when we see John Kent go out there and start trying to recruit a new Justice League, he's all smiles and he's witty and he's telling all these jokes, and newly anointed Wonder Girl Yara Flor is in the jungle. She sees things are coming apart at the seams, but she doesn't take it seriously either. And he has these kind of encounters specifically with Yara Flor and Jace Fox, the Batman of New York. And while John Kent, as the new Superman, is trying to step up and lead the team and put a team together, he doesn't seem to be taking it very seriously. His father just died. His best friend's father just died. A lot of the most powerful heroes that he would have grown up with his entire life are no longer with us. The world is in chaos, and he's out here cracking jokes, and he can't even really put together a good reason for these heroes to join him. He does not seem to take this threat as seriously as the writer would like the reader to take it. Now, he does get a new Justice League together, and this isn't going to last very long. All these characters and more are recruited in very brief scenes outside of Yara Flor, Jace Fox. So we know, or at least I know, I'm sure you guys do too, because you've been reading comic books, that these characters, this new Justice League, will fail. They are going to die for the most part, except for John Kent and Jackson Hyde, and we will see Yara Flor as well as Jace Fox join the team once they've decided, despite everything that they've witnessed, that it's time to do this. And this team doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Why do you have 2 Blue Beetles? Why is Harley Quinn on the team? She's a villain. She's a mass murderer. Why is Frankenstein on the team? Why is Killer Frost on the team? This is the team you got. These characters are all going to die for the most part, likely in Dark Crisis #4 or possibly even #5 before John Kent puts the real Justice League, which will consist of himself, Jackson Hyde, Jace Fox, Yara Flor, and Joe Mullins together, and we can finally get the real JLQ like this event is really supposed to be happening. But the urgency issue doesn't only lie within the characterization of John Kent. Dick Grayson Nightwing is featured at the very beginning. He gives the big speech, He sees everything that's breaking apart. He knows that there needs to be a new Justice League, but he goes, you know what? My priority right now is the Teen Titans Academy. And he goes back to the Teen Titans Academy as the world is falling into chaos, and he knows it. Apparently, Dick Grayson, Nightwing, one of the most heroic characters in all the DC Comics universe, decides now is the time to teach a lesson about trust rather than spring into action and save the world and back up what's supposed to be his new mentee, John Kent Superman. He's decided to just leave him on his own and go flail about. This doesn't make sense. They try to express that Nightwing is taking this hard and he's taking it seriously, but why is he doing this? I think it's because they want John Kent to do this on his own, and they know likely that Nightwing Dick Grayson would overshadow the character, but he should be the leader right now. This is the closest thing that the DC Comics universe at this moment has to a real Batman. He has a very close relationship with Superman. He's been there almost since the very beginning of the DC universe, yet he's over the Teen Titans Academy, having no urgency about the situation, despite the evidence that he has seen that the world is collapsing at this very moment. Another issue besides just the tone of the comic book being off, sometimes it almost feels like an SNL sketch of what a crisis would be if you weren't taking it seriously. This thing is kind of heavy meta, specifically this page here. You have the protesters outside the Hall of Justice after the death of the Justice League, and you have a sign that says, "Death is meaningless." Yes, we know death is meaningless in the DC Comics universe, but you don't have to throw it in our face and be so meta about it. You can actually take the story seriously, and a lot of times I don't feel like Joshua Williamson is, but this thing gets a little bit too meta and feels a little too goofy from time to time. Now, there are some things that it does well, like I mentioned earlier, definitely sets up issues 2 and 3 of Dark Crisis very well. For me, the very best part of the entire comic book is when we get Wally West, Flash, and Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, coming in, backing up John as they save the day, but then they go talk to Black Adam. And Hal is having none of it. He's like, I can't believe you guys are trusting him. And he's got a point. Black Adam has traditionally been a villain. And also, they're trusting the word from Black Adam that the darkness was defeated by the Justice League when they died. How he came to that conclusion, I have zero fucking clues, because that has never been apparent or even appeared to be apparent through any portion of Dark Crisis that I've read so far. I don't know how he came to this conclusion, but for some reason, he wants them to believe that the darkness is God. And unfortunately, Flash and Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, do not back up John on this. They don't go out there and help recruit the new Justice League. They don't even join the new Justice League. They go on side quests. Obviously, we know that the Flash, Wally West, finding Barry Allen story will play out in the Flash series. So that's what he is deemed to be more important than saving the world, is finding Barry Allen, who they don't even know where he is or if he's even still existing right now. And then Hal Jordan has decided he's going to investigate and find the perp and bring them to justice. So that's obviously setting up Dark Crisis number 3, where we see Hal Jordan lead the Green Lantern Corps to fight the Great Darkness. I think this was set up well. I don't know that it makes a whole lot of sense, but I loved seeing Hal Jordan and Wally West featured in the story. Unfortunately, it was very brief, but it was the best part. Now, obviously, they were featuring the Teen Titans Academy for a reason. At the very end, we finally find out who this villain is that has been scoping out all the heroes during their journeys. We knew it was Deathstroke, but here it is confirmed, and we do get what appears to be a major death. Beast Boy has been around in the Teen Titans for a very long time. He's been associated with Nightwing. This is another loss that should spur on Nightwing Dick Grayson into action. Hopefully he starts taking this seriously after that. But we know it's going to be too late. This is leading into Dark Crisis number 2, where we have the big Slade Wilson Deathstroke fight with Dick Grayson at the Teen Titans Academy itself. And Beast Boy won't be the only Teen Titan that doesn't make it out alive. You know, spoilers. We've already seen kind of what they're going for there. So they did set up the second and third issues quite nicely. There's another confusing part at the end. We do get a villain monologue from Pariah. And as I mentioned, there are tonal issues with this comic book where it feels like some of the characters aren't taking the events very seriously, but one character that is Black Adam. He is essentially hopeless. He's broken. He tells John Kent and the new Justice League that they don't have what it takes, that they're all kids, and there's no way that they can save the world. And then we get this weird line from Pariah. He says, look at them, believing. Black Adam, so full of hope. When the hell was Black Adam full of anything other than piss and vinegar in this comic book? He was never hopeful about their odds going up against the Great Darkness after the fall of the Justice League. I don't think this in particular was very effective, but it does kind of give you an idea of what is going on as far as the bigger picture, I guess. While I don't think the execution altogether was all that successful, it does do essentially what it needed to be done. We've got Wally West looking for Barry Allen. We know that's going to play out. We've got the Green Lantern Corps led by Hal Jordan ready to take on the Army of Darkness so they can fail. And we have the new Justice League put together so they can fail before all the other heroes that said no this time can back up John Kent, become the new Justice League, and save everybody. So they've set the table nicely. I just think there were some real tonal issues. There was no urgency from the heroes in the DC Comics universe, despite all the evidence. You know, the death of the Justice League, the world going into chaos. Like, let's go to the Teen Titans Academy and teach a lesson. Well, I guess he needed to be there, you know, so you can have the big battle. But I think people will like this. I don't think it's great by any means. Like I said, I call it a 3 out of 5. I'll recommend it. It's not a highly recommend. The art is very good. The story is effective in the end. You know, it does what it needs to do, but it didn't feel impactful. There was no sense of urgency and it wasn't exciting. And I think that kind of lets down the whole thing. This isn't the first time Joshua Williamson has had a hard time making these events impactful and really making them resonate with the reader. In my opinion, Justice League 75 was another comic book that technically was well done, but just didn't feel all that important. Yeah, the death of the Justice League, and it didn't really stick with you. It didn't feel like the deaths were really meaningful, and that was a problem. If you didn't see this review, definitely check out my review of Justice League 75. Get ready for Dark Crisis. We'll be covering it here until I've had enough.